Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Momentum Monday with me, Emily McHugh, your supercharged coach, and my extra special guest, Andrew McHugh, my beloved, precious brother. Welcome, Andrew. Oh,
Thank
wait a
you.
minute.
Thank you
Wait.
very much.
Oh, applause. Today, I will definitely be using my sound effects with my eCam videos, so just stay tuned. I hope to use them judiciously and to remember to use them. Okay. So today on Momentum Monday, we're going to be talking about what does it mean to impact your momentum and the things that have impact on your momentum. So my brother Andrew is an electrical engineer and a complete and total expert on this topic. And yes, indeed he is, even though he's very modest, but he's indeed very well in the perfect person to discuss this with, because we had a conversation some months ago on the topic of momentum. And I said it would be wonderful if you could come on and share some of these perspectives with us from the scientific point of view and how that relates to business and so on. So I again welcome Andrew and thank you for joining me.
You're quite welcome. Glad I could help.
Yes,
This is
yes.
good.
So we're going to start off with the definition of momentum from your angle as an engineer and from the scientific background. How do you define momentum?
So momentum is defined as mass times velocity. Okay. So it means that you have a mass moving at a certain speed, and that speed normally is constant. So that momentum, m equals mass, v equals velocity, is equal to momentum.
Right.
And then in a physics term, when you normally look for the change in momentum, so you want to change it from one speed that's to a lower speed or a higher speed. So there's always a change where you have mass times v1 minus mass times v2, where the masses are the same, but you now have an impact on it where the velocity has changed. And that mv1 minus mv2 equals ft, which is force times the time you apply that force on that object. So that is the change in momentum. And that force can be anything. Another object hitting it, another object pushing it, slowing it down, or speeding it up changes its momentum. So that or you can also take away mass and keep this and have a velocity, but it also changes it. So that mass and velocity is the key thing when we talk about momentum. And a good example of that, of a change in momentum, is if you remember now, NASA had this program called DART, which was releasing a small satellite into an asteroid to change its momentum and its orbit. So in that case, you could say it's angular momentum. So the DART program, NASA had this impact on September 26th, where they ejected this small satellite moving at, I think, about 14,000 miles per hour and impacted an asteroid to see if they could deflect it. And they took measurements on it later on, and they expected to change by, I think the number was like 13 or 16 minutes. Instead, they found it changed up to 32 minutes in its orbit. So that means that you can deflect it. So changing momentum comes in different ways. You can deflect it, you can add speed to it, you can take away speed from it. But it's a change. The
Well, what
change
did
in momentum.
what did they use to deflect the asteroid?
So there was a satellite, and then it had a smaller little satellite that it ejected from the main body, and the size of like I forgot the size, maybe like a small car or like a refrigerator was the size.
Ooh.
Okay. And that impacted this asteroid at such a high speed that from the pictures NASA provided, you could see the impact because there was material that dispersed out from the asteroid. But they took careful measurements of it, and you could see that it changed that orbit of that asteroid over a time of a week. So they took pictures as it went to see if there was a really change. And the object of this, of course, is that if you know far enough that, say, an asteroid is coming towards the Earth, you could potentially deflect it far enough that it will miss the Earth.
Uh-huh.
That was the purpose of it. And it was very successful.
Uh-huh.
But so, like in momentum of a business, where you have your, say, your mass and velocity terms, and you are producing something at a constant rate. So you're making a widget, so say 300 of these units per year coming out, and the mass can be considered your widget, and the amount that you send out each year, say 300, is your velocity. And
Right.
that's a constant rate of production. It's
Yeah,
a
and
constant production.
mhm.
Now you want to change things. So you have to add some more force, you add more capital to increase your capacity to produce. So you're pretty much changing your velocity now to get a bigger number. Your product M has now increased from 300 to say 400 per year. So now you've changed the momentum of your company by having an impact on it by whether you either put capital towards it or you're investing your profits back into the company to produce more and et cetera and grow and change the momentum of your company to the good.
Mm.
Okay. The reverse can be that if you have some rise in inflation, so it costs you more now to make the same number of products, your momentum is kind of reduced because it's now impacted on the cost of producing that thing. So you can't produce as many to keep the same momentum or the amount of income because your velocity or the number of products you produce is now more expensive. But to keep the same momentum, now you charge more or but produce less, etc. So you have that variable to work with.
Yeah.
So
So
that's the impact.
yeah, it's very intriguing to make the correlation because it's really the same concept applied in different scenarios or different situations. But the
Mhm.
whole idea of momentum, when we launched this whole concept of momentum Monday, was to gain that energy, gain that momentum that would carry you through the week. So, what are some of the suggestions on how to gain gain momentum? Because I know you had shared before that um, maybe you could share something about how momentum is a steady, constant state. Unless something acts on it, there's some impact or force, it won't change. So, how do we get to the place where we build momentum, gain momentum? What are some of the inputs necessary?
So, for example, to start the momentum process, when a rocket takes off from Earth,
Mhm.
all right, that it has to, it builds up, it accelerates and builds up a speed to break loose from the Earth's gravity. Once it breaks loose from the Earth's gravity, and that boost is kind of what you consider your investment into the company, your start off costs. And then once it gets out of the Earth's gravitational pull, then you're on a constant velocity, which you broke from the Earth's gravity. So you are on a velocity v, and in this case, you can say it's your production, your quantity of production, and it's steady state. You have like I said before, you have a product. You're making these products that are coming out this quantity per year, or however you want to divide it up,
Mhm.
and it'll keep on being steady state unless something else impacts that business. And that impact can be, like I said, infusion of more capital to
Right?
produce more, to increase your efficiency of getting your velocity to increase. A reduction could be an impact, like we say with inflation, where it costs more to get your supplies to make your product, or labor. Uh, you don't have labor availability. All these things are negative impacts to slow you down
Yes.
and reducing your momentum. So now you have that F force times time, that force that's being pushing against you over a certain period of time is now reducing your momentum. Similarly, you can reverse that around, and when you have an input of more energy, more capital, more efficiencies, then your velocity can increase, and you can increase your production.
Okay. So momentum is critical whichever direction. You can lose it, you can gain it, or you can almost maintain it at the rate at which you're
Right.
currently going.
Mhm.
So people have to make that decision because we tend to think of momentum as something that you want to continually accelerate. And what are your thoughts on that?
So accelerating. So there's momentum. Like I said, it's a constant speed. It's but you can keep on changing that speed. The way you change it over time is an acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when we talk about the rate of something, that means it's always increasing at that rate. 3% growth every year. Or you can have a 0% growth where you're producing the same product every year, not making any significant change. There's no growth. But to change the momentum of your company to the positive is always a good thing because it shows that you're growing and you're expanding your opportunities and taking advantage of opportunities elsewhere, expanding your market. And that's a continual growth process to get your business more attractive, to produce more income, diversify, to produce other products, and expand your business base. That is a positive thing. But it's instead of being complacent in your business, now you're definitely showing growth in your business, and of course you become more attractive to IPOs and things like that. And also, you now have you are challenging yourself as a business person to keep on expanding your business further to be more profitable.
So really, there are two major components of momentum, which involves the magnitude and the direction. So Andrew, and again, I'm here with my brother, Andrew McHugh. If you're just joining me here for Momentum Monday, my special guest talking about how to impact your momentum and understanding the components of momentum, and then of course, what can we do to have an impact on it. So yeah, so tell us more about the whole idea of magnitude and trajectory and direction, and how that can affect your business trajectory or the trajectory of an object.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you use the term inertia, that's also a term to talk about momentum. So you can have an object from rest to motion, and that normal you can consider the when he talks about the mass is at rest with zero velocity, and now you want to move it, so you're applying a force to increase its inertia, like a car rolling down a hill, where the mass of the velocity, the mass of that car is fixed, yet the velocity is increasing. So now that's a growth, analogous to a growth in a business. So to affect change, you need to apply a force to it. And in the business, it's like I said, it's adding capital. It's if you have a product that is going in one state and you want to now change the direction of how you make that product, will have an impact. So you're changing the direction a little bit. Say you want to go more green. So you want to be more ecological friendly and benefit to the environment. And you may choose to do things with different supply chains, how they're manufactured, less carbon footprint in that production of that item. That will affect the direction you're going with your company, as opposed to making, this is my goal from this point to I'm going to make this in my goal for profits, where now I'm taking a different course and I'm going to, profits is still important, but I want to also be more green. So I'm going to take a direction, I'm going to take a slight change and do it differently. But it may have an impact on when you reach that goal, or maybe it'll accelerate it because now you have a different customer base that wants to take advantage of eco-friendly products. So all of those things change the momentum of your company and also the direction, because you can have, like I said, with the asteroid that was impacted by DART, it changed its direction away from its normal path for the benefit, of course, for what the purpose was, to divert it from its path so it wouldn't collide with another object or get it out of orbit. But definitely by changing its momentum with that impact, you cause change on the object, whether it be good or for bad, for however it is benefits to your goal or to your business.
Yeah, so as a business owner, you have to consider whether you want to stay in a constant state, as you're saying, if you're in this inertia situation where you are moving, but you're moving at the same velocity, or do you need to make a radical change or some kind of change? So some of the things to consider, whether it's a different decision. And as we spoke about last week, I invite you to go and watch Momentum Monday last week, where we talked about how to prioritize your priorities. And therefore, when you're trying to decide what could have the most impact, or the one thing that would make the most difference or have the most impact, your priorities have an impact on that. So everything is really related and it's all connected. So what advice would you say, Andrew, to people who are trying to determine what is that one thing they may want to consider. How do they further focus or hone in on what the biggest impact could be? I know it's a little vague, the concept, but it's just really the structure, the framework in deciding what to choose, how to choose the thing that will make the most impact. Just like in NASA, the scientists determined by doing XYZ with what they did, that thing would have the impact they wanted. So they had to have a lot of calculation to come up with that decision. So in business as well, how do we come up with some of those decisions on
So
how to choose? Yeah.
it takes a lot of homework. Okay, you need to understand the marketplace that you're going into. Where is there a need? Where's that niche that you could potentially fill with your specific skill set that you're very good at? And you'll find that people that have a certain niche, they have a very good spurt in growth until it becomes somewhat commonplace.
Yeah.
But if you can find your niche and take advantage of it and build on that and get that momentum, you become the expert in that field, or you become the producer of something unique, and you hold on, you have a patent associated with that product or something like that. So you get a hold on it. But that's good for a while. That now gives you a momentum on a certain product. Now you need to start changing things a little bit and said, okay, here's my family of products that I've developed, and start diverting
Diversifying,
further
right?
and branching out to grow from what you started with that one product to multiple types of variants to satisfy the other niches that demand pops up. So the initial advantage of having your product come out with uniqueness, but don't let it stay stagnant. You capitalize on it for a while, but you always got to say, okay, this is working. Let me now work on the next product that will be the next generation, like your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
The next generation iPhone is the next hottest thing, but you gotta keep us you gotta be ready as soon as you've mastered. And I say that when I say mastered, don't dwell on it too long, because like IT stuff, every 18 months you're getting a new product. Our ability to double the processing power, it doubles in 18 months. So you got to say, okay, here's the product. Let me work on the next version right away,
Yeah.
and keep that momentum going as you come up with new products and expand your ability to fill the marketplace.
So it's
Because
kind of
there's
a
always be a demand for the better mousetrap.
always a demand for the better mousetrap. That's so true, and it's also a mindset that you develop and continue to refine, that you have to keep moving,
Yes.
and that's what moment
Change. Yeah.
changing.
Everything change is a good thing. That's how the world keeps on going, because of a change. Some people don't like to change, and that's just they just keep the steady momentum. This is what I've done all along. This is what I'm used to. But the world wants change. Change is the only way you can grow.
Yeah, yeah.
That change in momentum provides growth.
So if you just kind of bake it into your thought process, you're always aware and trying to think of how you can keep supercharging your momentum. And that's the whole point of
Yeah,
this
exactly.
discussion. And the whole point of supercharging is to be mindful that there's motion taking place and the energy necessary to keep things moving in a certain direction according to the order of magnitude and the direction you want to go into. All these inputs and what they are, and how to address them. Well, Andrew, I appreciate so very much these great insights and perspectives that you bring from your perspective as an electrical engineer and someone who works on these issues all the time, but maybe in different ways, and to lend that lens to the business angle here really widens our outlook. So thank you so very much.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad we had this opportunity. It's been a long time putting it off, but I'm glad we got put this together, and I hope it's
Yes.
beneficial to your audience.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. I know it is, and I'm going to invite people to ask their questions, make their comments. Let us know what resonated with you, or anything you would like more thoughts, any feedback on, or if you want a part two with Andrew on any other scientific topic, as we could connect it to to business and so on. But it's been a pleasure. So thank you, everyone. Stay supercharged and come back next week for more Momentum Monday.